Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're getting through the week okay. It is cooking out here in the desert. So I'm just moving along on this YouTube journey, and I want to be putting out content, but I need to come up with more ideas because I'm kind of stuck. So hopefully I can brainstorm some ideas, content. As I said, it'll be focused on the Catholic faith and lifestyle of a husband. And also me trying to work on a business idea. I talked about in the last video how I want to do Amazon KDP and build this Catholic book company, children's book company. But it is easy to get stuck when you are in your 9 to 5, and it's easy to get discouraged. I hadn't done too much work on the coloring book this week until this morning. I did a little bit, but then I had to get to work. So it's a process, it's a journey. I'm hoping I can continue. And I don't know what else I can do, because I'm doing everything I can, and I'm just trusting the process that it takes time. It takes time, and I feel good that I'm doing something. I'm hoping that it can translate into money, and I believe what I'm doing is on the right track. I feel like I have more of an opportunity to put myself out there on YouTube than just traditional way of finding a career. These days it feels so hopeless to try to find a job and work your 9 to 5 and just never move up, and next thing you know, you're in your 40s and 50s and you've done nothing with your life. I'm already in my 30s, late 30s, and I feel that way. Although I know that all hope is not lost, and that it's not true that I haven't done anything with my life. I've had lots of experiences, and as you age, the one thing you do have is your experience and your wisdom that you gain. At least hopefully that you gain wisdom. I think naturally as you get older you just gain wisdom. It comes naturally. That's the one advantage I think you have as an older person than a younger person who still hasn't faced challenges over and over again. The key is to learn from them and to recognize when situations come up, being able to recognize you've been in this situation before, and instead of doing what you did that made that mistake, you will do something different. So I think life is always a learning process, and as we get older, you might feel like you are losing your abilities and things. But I think as long as we are still alive, there's always an opportunity to learn. No matter what, as humans, we can always pray. Whether you're suffering or you're at peace, whether you're old or whether you're young, you can always deepen your prayer life. So at bare minimum, if you can't do anything else, you can pray. And that's something that I haven't been doing as much lately, at least as much as I should be. Although I am praying, I pray daily, but the depth of that prayer is in question. I think for me, a prayer routine, this is what I usually do, is in the morning, ideally, I should be reading the Liturgy of the Hours, daily rosary. Now, sometimes there's days where I skip the rosary, but I try to do it every day. And there's days where I skip the Liturgy of the Hours, and I don't pray all the times of the Liturgy Hours, but at least if I could get one in, that's good. And then, hopefully at night, I spend some time in mental prayer and an examination of conscience. That is a good bare minimum. Father Ripperger says, as a layman, you should be at bare minimum doing 15 minutes of prayer. And it doesn't sound like a lot of time, but sometimes it's just you have that temptation to not pray, or you have other pressing things in your life where you convince yourself you don't want to pray. You don't have time to pray. But Father Ripperger says that it is what's due to God. Like, that is what is give him his due, his just due. So I try to remember that. And if I have a bad week of praying, I try to make it up in adoration. There's several adoration chapels available in my area, and one I can access 24/7. So I try to make up that in adoration. I go at least once a week. And being in front of the Blessed Sacrament is very helpful. Sometimes you may not be able to pray directly. Sometimes you just have to be sitting there, or you may not be ready to talk to God in adoration. But just getting there and sitting there is a start. I'll sit there, and eventually I'll clear my mind, and eventually I'll start praying. And then you start praying intently, but you got to clear all the crap out of your head first. Other times I'll bring a book and I'll read. Actually, I always bring a book with me. It's just whether I open it or not. And then sometimes I'll just pray a rosary in front of the Blessed Sacrament. So that is a good practice that helps me. daily rosaries are important. Say your prayer intentions for friends and family or for whatever you have going on. I like to pray for the souls of purgatory in my daily rosary. And St. Louis de Montfort, if you haven't read his book, I think it's called True Devotion to Mary, or Devotion of the Blessed Virgin Mary. True Devotion something. St. Louis de Montfort. I highly recommend consecrating yourself to Mary. And that's something me and my wife did separately, and we just so happened to do it on the same feast day before we even knew each other. So that was a big coincidence. That was a nudge from God for us. But consecrating yourself to the Blessed Virgin has been so helpful. So I have this this bracelet here. It's to be bonded to the Blessed Mary, bonded to the Blessed Virgin, like you're handcuffed to her. And when I first did it, I felt weird about wearing the metal bracelet. But eventually I decided to wear one because it is a good reminder. When I look at it, I remind myself that I have given my life up to her and to follow her, who will lead me to Jesus. And that's something Protestants always attack us Catholics for, is our devotion to Mary. But in the book, St. Louis de Montfort goes into that. He talks about true devotion to Mary and fake devotion to Mary, and that people that have a fake devotion to Mary, they're doing it for, like, their intentions are not pure, or selfish reasons. So he lists out like, if you have a true devotion, true consecration to Mary, this is like how your disposition should be. I don't remember all the things he lists, but he really goes into that, and I recommend reading that and doing a consecration. Renewing it yearly would be good. I renewed it once, but I didn't renew it. Well, I didn't do the full consecration this past year. Hopefully I'll do it next year. It's 33-day devotion. And then you'd say the consecration prayer on the feast day, on a Marian feast day. And so yeah, our feast day is Our Lady of Fatima. And then after you do that, you can do the consecration to St. Joseph, which my wife and I did this year. We decided to do it right before our wedding. And we used Father Calloway's book. He has a great book on St. Joseph, the consecration to St. Joseph. And he has lots of good commentary and stories of St. Joseph and the church, and how the St. Joseph devotion grew over time in the church. That was something that I didn't know, that the St. Joseph devotion in the church was more of a recent development, not really so much in the early church, but in the later church. And that was one thing I think that the Novus Ordo actually incorporated, was more prayers in the Mass to Saint Joseph. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't really read the whole book. We just did the prayers. So I'd like to reread that one again. But any type of devotion you can do, and then maybe throw in some novenas here and there. Like my wife always says there's always different seasons in life. She always talks about seasons. And so whatever you're dealing with, you can do a novena, which is a 9-day prayer for whatever you're facing, and find that saint to do a novena to, you know, whatever patron saint it is that has the, you know, the issue you're dealing with, that can help you. So we did recently Saint Teresa Lisieux novena, which is really good. We did that a couple times, praying the novena for 9 nights. And we did that because we needed help with like forming habits, like little habits, and hoping that we can have some changes in our lives from you know, fixing our habits. And then this video has turned into a prayer suggestion video. I would recommend throwing in a litany here and there. You can do the Litany of Humility, which is one of my favorites. My phone just told me I had full storage on videos, so I gotta clear out my storage. But I was saying that the Litany of Humility hits the nail on the head, and it is my favorite prayer. You're praying for things that are hard to face, but you know is good for your soul, because I believe humility is the greatest virtue we can achieve. And Father Mike Schmitz has a really good video about humility, and he really explains what it is, because I think there's a lot of misconception of humility. I used to hear humility as like being right-sized, and I think that's a good way of looking at it. But it's also not just like seeing yourself as lowly, although we should be seeing ourselves as lowly in the eyes of God. But we should see ourselves as the gifts that God has given us, recognizing those gifts and living those gifts fully, and not shying away with those gifts. I think Father Mike Schmitz in the video talks about confidence. Having humility and confidence are like the same, because you are assured of yourself. You know who you are, and you are willing to be yourself in all situations. And that, I think, is true humility, which is being right-sized. Knowing who you... My video keeps dying, but I just want to end this video. Essentially, yeah, humility is the highest virtue we should be aiming towards. I'll probably research more about humility and what the saints say about it, and then I can share it with you. If you have any ideas or recommendations what I should look into, let me know in the comments. But I also want to talk about other virtues as well. That was the inspiration for this channel, was meek, not weak. And I believe that meekness and humility go hand in hand. And having a spirit of meekness, gentleness, and kindness is what God wants from us. So anyways, hopefully I have some more topics in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe if you like this type of content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.